So, welcome back, everybody. Today, I'm happy to have Yusuf Omar on our Reaching Your Full Potential Online Tech Summit, where top experts share secret tips to stand out from the crowd and how to use technology to be uber successful. So, Yusuf Omar, let me introduce you to him. He is uh, known to most as a physical mercenary for hire, and is regarded as one of the top athletic speed and conditioning movement specialists. Yusuf can expand on that a little bit later. Over the past 30 years, Yusuf has devoted the majority of his time training speed and proper regeneration techniques to all ages and abilities. He's a go-to guy for any of your speed training. He's worked with a lot of people, both from young to from teams to individuals to athletes, and I won't be doing justice, but there's a lot of more bio on him. But so I will get started right back at it. And so Yusuf, why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself, because I don't think I've done a good job in your bio, but
I think you did a good job. I mean, I kind of sum it up the same way you did with the physical mercenary for hire. Kind of sums up a lot of stuff. So, in a nutshell, what I do is very similar to what you alluded before. I come into situations where basically people have been already working maybe with an existing trainer, or they, in particular, say for athletes, these people are in a slump, or they've had a sort of injury that's holding them back, or you have a veteran athlete, basically, who maybe can extend his career for another 1 or 2 years. That could be worth several $1 million to him. So I come in there and I say, okay, well, what's missing here? What are they doing that's good? What are they doing that's not good? And what is missing? And then from there, I will orchestrate a plan to then achieve their objective in a very short period of time, a lot of times with very little effort, and very little injury potential in a very short period of time. And that's basically what I do. And I work with general population all the way to, I've had one world record holder. So I've seen the gamut, as they say.
Right. That's good. It's good. No, that's excellent. Yeah. Because so I guess you put the plans based on their needs and requirements, right? Like you kind of put your training plan or recovery plan, whatever it is, based on what their needs are as well too, right? And their performance, right?
Yeah. So we don't do a typical assessment like typically you go to a fitness center and they'll measure, we do body fat, stuff like that, but we look at other stuff, static posture. We look at individual muscles, how they are contracting, range of motions. And then we have some very particular, what we call fundamental movement patterns that every human being needs to do. And then we base it on that. And then if we do with an athlete, we don't always test them on a field testing perspective. Sometimes we'll just take their values they've had previously and we'll just work with that, because anytime you test somebody, there is a stress involved, and there's also a chance of injury as well. So you don't want to stress the body out, I mean, especially if a person who's injured. You're not going to get a very true testing value. And the other thing too is that testing is really limited for that day. I mean, you go back a week later, you probably find different results. So it's a snapshot. That's all we're trying to get. Assessment is not like I said, not a typical one. It takes about 4 to 6 hours to do, and we usually space it out. If we're dealing with an athlete, it could take up to about a week to really get a good idea on what's going on. Once you have an idea of what you're dealing with, from that you can formulate a plan, at which point very quickly you can achieve objectives. But if you have to know what you're doing. If you don't have a plan, then you don't know that, and then set up the little benchmarks in between, you won't know, whether or not you're improving or not.
Right. No, it makes sense. No, that's really helpful to know. So, obviously with the days we are right now in the pandemic lockdown, everything is shifted online. We're doing everything online. The fact that me and you and I are talking here as well, we could be in person recording, but we're doing this virtually. And the fact that everybody is going to be listening to this virtually anyway. So everything is shifted online. So why don't you tell me specifically in regards to your journey, and your success, and how you or even your plans, what you have towards taking what you're doing online and being in kind of broader sense, the audience that you kind of will be catering to will be much more broader, especially if they're going online. So can you touch a little bit on that as well?
Yeah, sure. So going online is actually not new for me. It's actually been doing it for a number of years now, because I have a lot of clients that are remote.
Okay.
And they initially come in here sometimes for like a 1 week or a 2 week intensive, and then thereafter I monitor the programs. But in that 2 weeks, and here's one of the problems, and I'll get into it a bit, with any sort of online sort of conditioning. I mean, you can go right now on the internet and go on YouTube, for example. You can see some guy doing exercise videos or something, and that's all great. You can, but you really don't know how you don't know. There's a lot of elements of training that you need to have somebody actually watch you to make sure that you're doing it correctly. And then there are elements that if you find something that's obtrusive, you need to adjust it so that,
Right.
You're limited to by that program. You can only follow that program. That's it. That's why when people come to me, I'm their eyes, and I'll look at things, and sometimes I'll pull away from the plan and adjust something, and then come back to it. So, but going to the idea of going online, I've been doing this for a number of years. One of my in that 2 week period, though, in order for me to really fulfill that online prophecy, I need to kind of spend some time with you to assess you, and then also to educate you. And I remember telling one of my athlete clients that I'm no longer coaching him after I've spent, a good month with him online. And obviously he came here 2 weeks prior and did a 2 week intensive, and he got all worried. He said, like, oh my God, it's like, you got coaching me. I said, no, you don't get it. I'm managing you now.
Right.
Because in that time period, in that month period, and in a 2 week intensive that he spent with me, I taught him so much information that he could almost do it on his own. And I'm just there now as a sounding board. This is when online training really can work, because I know now, I feel confident that if I tell that person to do something based on what I know of them and based on what I know what they can do and what they understand, they will make the necessary adjustments. So I don't necessarily have to be there all the time. So they're coaching themselves in a sense, but I'm managing them. So I'm just, finding, being a sounding board and guiding them, but I'm not really the one helping them do it, because they can do it. And I feel confident in their technique. They can do it. So that's when online training really can be a benefit. But to go online and hire a trainer online, and he hasn't really fully assessed you properly. It's like going to a Ford dealership, like a GM dealership, but or going to a Ferrari dealership. They're going to treat you differently.
Right.
It is what it is.
No, it's true. Yeah.
You can't expect the GM to drive like the Ferrari and vice versa.
No, it's true. And I think that you're right. I think the online has, there's always going to be, like how you said it, right? Like in your sense, you kind of need that physical presence, right? In order for you to sort of fully evaluate, right? Like, being there physically. But what about like actually, someone who's not able to meet you and able to kind of get that full experience? Are you still able to give them the same value or give them a similar feel and experience by being online?
Yeah, I mean, the expression comes to mind is, if you reach, you shoot for the stars, but you get the moon, so to speak. So you're going to get some benefit. What'll end up happening is that you'll end up developing, you'll hit a ceiling at a certain point where now, okay, you have to have somebody, you have to, and my job is to make sure that ceiling doesn't occur. And that's where that assessment comes in. So I kind of beat you to that position. That's all that's happening. That's the only difference really from online and working with me sort of more one-on-one, is that I'm going to get you A to B a lot faster. You may get to B, but it might take you, several steps. And then, but I'm it's assuming that you know how to guide yourself to B too. That's the other thing.
Right. No, makes sense.
But so you are getting, in a nutshell, you are getting some benefit. It's better than doing nothing. How about that?
That's true. It's true. Yeah, we all got to do something. So no, so so this leads me to, like, we have talked, in our past conversations on terms of taking your assessments and whatever, and how do you kind of push that towards an app. And is that something, I know that's something that we have been discussing in the past. Is that something that where are you with that in terms of your future goals in that, in terms of going
So
online and app based?
yeah, so let me give you a little background. So I did in many years ago in university, I did an unofficial master's, and took 2.5 years of independent study, got permission from the dean to create my own courses, and then had 2 professors sort of oversee it. So it's an unofficial master's in a sense. And one of the papers was on recovery and regeneration, overtraining, detraining, and some of that, it was like 600 references, 300 pages just on regeneration alone. And what ended up happening was that some of that information got into my professor's textbook. So chapter 5 in his textbook is translated now to 18 languages and used as a
Oh, wow.
core code textbook around the world. And I did it on regeneration. So going fast forward now to 2020, what we were able to do now is take this information and looking at very particular metrics. These have been researched quite a bit, and looking at how the body responds to stress. So this app that you and I were talking about it can be definitely used for for athletes, but really it transcends that reality. It can be used for anybody who is under any sort of stress, because stress response is the same whether or not you're an athlete or you're a housewife. It's the same. The body reacts the same way. So what this app does, though, it not only it allows you to monitor your stress response, but the unique thing about this app is that based on 30 plus years of experience, I've kind of worked out ways to deal with these certain responses. So for example, the person would test very high in one particular element, or let's just say their overall score is very high. What now this app will do will tell you what is the best scenario for you to do with respect to training, and what is the best scenario for you to get to in terms of recovery work to get you back to a better level where you can perform at a higher level. So it's almost guiding you to tell you what is the best way to train for you and what is the best way to recover based on what we're seeing. So it's quite. I've had to use now with a team with several individual athletes, and it's worked out really well. In fact, this is one of the ways when I work online with people, I have them fill this out, and it gives me a really good indication of how they're responding to training. Not only that, they begin to learn, and that's the neat thing about this app. It's a teaching tool to show you, hey, you know what? If you did a high intensity workout, that means the next day has to be a low intensity workout. You cannot do another high intensity workout. You could do that. It's a free country right now. It's not communist China. Sorry, but you can do what you want. But I'm just saying, listen, if you're going to do that, it's better to do it with the low intensity workout after, to give yourself the recover. And then how do you now recover fast enough so maybe on the 3rd day you can go back to a high intensity training? And where the uniqueness of this app is, and it actually teaches people, shows them, I mean, I kind of know this offhand. Like I'm not going to make you do a higher intensity workout back to back, almost 48 hours. But sometimes people have to learn this, and the app is sort of like showing you, hey, you can't do this. This is not very good for you. You can do it, and you could try it, but you'll come back to the app and say, wow, this is right. Actually, right. So what it's showing you over time is that you, using the app over time, you begin to develop what we call your innate intelligence in terms of training. You know how to, and at the elite level, truly, it is, they have a plan, but then they will work the plan, as they say, and they will use the appropriate training for that day. And then maybe, even though the plan says, training X, Y, Z, they might not do that. They might just go to, some other type of training because of what they're seeing.
Right.
And it is a plan, but it isn't a plan. How about that?
Yeah. No, I think it's a very good point, because I think one of the natural tendencies is like, when you work out on one day, you feel like, okay, you're so pumped, and you feel like, what, I'm going to go at it again the next day. And then you keep going. And the next, by like midweek, you're like totally done. Your body is done. You feel like you feel demotivated to even work out further. So that's great. That's really good to know, because that actually helps a lot of people knowing like you said, it's a good teaching tool. It will really help a lot. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And you can work with any, like, you don't have to necessarily work with me and
Hmm.
have me on your program, but whatever program that you're on, it will then classify that type of training into what it is. And then it'll tell you, and you can monitor the response from that by de facto, then tell you, okay, what you're capable of doing in terms of your recovery, and then also what you should be doing for training based on your monitoring results, right? This way you don't get
Right.
into, typically overtraining, or you're feeling tired, run down. So initially you start off like, just like you mentioned, you start off like this, and then pretty
Yeah.
soon you start
Yeah.
and then you get totally demotivated, and you think, well, the program is not good. And
Yeah. Yeah.
meanwhile, all it took was just basically you maybe doing a few adjustments in the
Right.
program,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, you're still on that program. So I think that's the beauty of that, the app, and that's what I'm trying to do with this thing. And it's like I said, it's worked a lot with a lot of people. We've tried it as a pilot model. So now I'm trying to bring it out to on a more bigger scale, and this is how my sort of contribution, I guess, going online.
That's good. Oh,
It's like I said, I've been doing it before, but this is in a formal sense. This is what I like to do.
that's good. No, it's good. Like, and I think, yeah, that's great. So that would be really helpful. So what is one tip that you can share with us that that we can implement today that'll give you success? I mean, you can be classified as both success online or success within training and online. So what's one tip that you can give us that we can implement today that we can have success?
I think with respect to online, I think uh, don't be afraid, and find the right people. I mean, I'm gonna put a plug in for you, ECNet Solutions. There you go.
Thanks.
Find the right person to help you to achieve your journey, and do it step by step. Don't try to do too many things. It's one of the things I've sort of hit and miss, tried. You go watch on YouTube, and some guy's doing a fancy podcast, and you have to buy this $300 microphone. It's the best microphone.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, you could just do it off your. I mean, people really don't care at the end of the day what kind of mic, unless you're you're branding out that mic for somebody else, and you're making affiliate linking. I really don't think people care about the sound quality, unless somebody you're dealing with a person who does. He's in. You're dealing with a sound check guy.
Right.
Other than
Right.
that, I think just get on there. Don't make it too complicated for yourself, and start off small. Don't
Right.
start off big. Just get the minimal equipment that you need, and find somebody that knows what they're doing to give you some guidance, and then they can take you along with along the process, as opposed to you going on YouTube and you'll go here, and then very much like training program, you'll go from one program. You need a coach, and ECNet Solutions plug can give you that coaching. And just like I coach people here, you need coaching on this end. Same thing.
Sounds good. No, thanks. I appreciate that. No, that's really helpful advice. So just so everybody knows, Yusuf has something to offer for everybody. And why don't you kind of mention that? Yeah.
So what I'm offering is a free half-hour consult to anybody. Basically, let's say the first 5 people that get a hold of me, I'll take on those 5 people, and I'll give them a free half-hour consult on Zoom or Skype or whatever platform they want. And we'll talk about their training needs, and maybe there's something I can give them some 2 cents to maybe take their training and wellness to another level.
Perfect. That's great. So the link will be below below, and we'll get the more details will be posted there. And that's really great. Thanks, Yusuf. Any final words? you want to share before we finish?
Basically, keep in mind that we're human beings and we need contact. And I know this time period right now is a little bit tight, but find the right people and contact these people. That whatever you need done, and from a tech perspective, right? But get in touch with people. Try not to be isolationary and do it on your own kind of thing. Get the right people to help you, because from two perspectives, first of all, you're going to be guided in the right direction. Secondly, the human contact. We still, this is not the best means, but you know what? It's communication. I think we need to do that as human beings, and that it keeps us sane.
Perfect. No, that's very good point for sure. So thank you again, Yusuf, and hopefully everybody enjoyed this. And check out the link below of his gift. Again, Yusuf is from the system. I forgot to mention at the beginning, thesystem.ca. You can check it out, www.thesystem.ca. Thank you again, Yusuf.
Are you welcome? Thank you.